Hello everyone. So I am let me wait until I get around here to the camera. Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. So I am no blogger, okay, or vlogger as I should say. I'm no content creator. But what I am is someone who is really passionate about prioritizing their health. Now, I'm not perfect, right? And I want that to come across absolutely clearly. Is that I'm no expert, but what I am is honest about, you know, my history, my background, my story, right? Coming from a place where I am narrating my story, which is really cool. I wouldn't want anybody to write or narrate my story, right? But yeah, I'm coming from that place. So just to give you a bit of a background about me, I was born and raised in the United Kingdom, in England specifically. And then I came to America with my mom during my teenage years as a teen. And so most of my education, I would say, I obtained in the United States. So that is something I'm really proud to say, that I believe the opportunity for education is definitely available in the United States. That I will honestly say. But anyway, so I came here as a teen and basically had to navigate. So my life as I knew it was abruptly discontinued. And so I now had to navigate a lot of news, right? A lot of beginnings. So being in a new environment where people spoke differently, right? Because of course the accent was new to me. So everything was new. A new environment, a new home environment, taken away from the home environment that I knew. And so it was all abrupt. And so the learning curve was steep, and it had to be quick, right? But anyway, I'm very grateful for that education. But going back to my background, my roots are from the Caribbean, the West Indies, as well as Cuban. My mom, her father was of Cuban descent. So we did not get a lot of the culture, and definitely not the language, passed down to us, because unfortunately he passed when she was quite young. She was 14 years old, but she did explain how she had this ravenous desire to learn all that he had to teach her, to show her. I guess that was her way of being close to him. But the advantage that she came away with, that she could apply to her life, and particularly in terms of raising her four biological children, as well as a child that she adopted. That knowledge, I believe, as a mom, knowing now, was priceless. And sometimes I wish I had listened more to that knowledge when she tried to disseminate it. But I believe it is in my genes. It's in my genetic makeup and programming, because we know that we inherit a lot of our genes, right? It gets handed down generationally. But I did get that love and desire of natural medicine, I believe, from her. So anyway, yeah, unfortunately in 2012, my mom was diagnosed with metastatic pancreatic cancer. She was 82 years old, and it was pretty much everywhere. And at the time of her diagnosis, and of course, that 82 years old, the what conventional medicine has to offer basically is very limited and hasn't changed much. But it's generally Gemzar or gemcitabine in terms of chemotherapeutic agent. And if the tumor is found early enough, then there's the Whipple procedure, which is a pretty debilitating, for the lack of a better word, it's a pretty extreme surgery. And so a lot of rerouting, reorganizing, taking, major parts of the human body in the abdominal cavity out in an attempt to, to remove all of the cancerous tissue and cells. But that's pretty much it. And we knew, that at 82 years old, first of all, she wasn't strong enough that she would not have been a candidate for the Whipple surgery. She was definitely not a candidate for chemotherapy either, which was what we decided as a family. And so, yeah, we basically, what I applied was what I knew, right? I was currently working as an instructor in a medical assisting program that is no longer existing, but yeah, at that time. And so I was teaching anatomy and physiology in their clinical lab program that they had in preparing, folks to become certified medical assistants. And so I got to apply both of my loves. I got to teach, coming from a former New York City background. I got the opportunity to teach, as well as, to talk about health and medicine and wellness and, all that I believed in, to my core and still do. It's who I am, right? Part of who I am, a huge part of who I am. And so, yeah, I was doing that, and then I got this overwhelming urge, to start studying the works of Max Gerson. And he wrote a book. It was 50 cases that he had cured late stage, cancers with his program, right, which is known as the Gerson therapy. And they actually have a practitioner program at the Gerson Institute in San Diego, California. And so I left, and I had young kids at the time, but that's how important it was to me. I went and I learned the Gerson therapy, and I was able to apply that therapy because that's all I knew, to be honest, right? I knew of some herbs that had some anti-cancer properties, but really as a comprehensive program, that's all I knew. And so, I was able to apply that and saw some really good results in terms of weight gain, energy, strength, bowels started moving, bile started being produced. Yeah, just things started moving in a really good direction. And basically, without going into the details of the whole story, but we got time, right? We got quality of life as a family, and we got time. I got time with Mom. It was incredible because she was, I was her primary caregiver. She lived with us. And yeah, of course, there's always family doing their role, but for the most part, for the week, basically, it was her and I. in hospice who was on board. But yeah, we had some amazing moments. We laughed, we cried, we sang, we danced. It was amazing. That mom wasn't, you know, heavily sedated with narcotics, you know, throughout her transitioning. No, she was present, very present, and very involved, and had a lot, just a lot to disseminate and to give. And that was an amazing gift for me, and something that I would not, you know, I can't put a value on. I have to say that was those moments were invaluable. So yeah, that's just a little bit of who I am. So I am a naturopathic physician. I specialize in, or, you know, the majority of the people who choose me to be a part of their, you know, their health team, mainly oncology, right? Which is, but it's naturopathic oncology. So it's from, I would say, an integrative point of view, because I do know a lot about, you know, chemotherapy, standard of care in terms of treatment, things that work synergistically, things that are contraindicated or should not be done together, where herbs are applicable, where they're not, supplements where they're applicable, the timing of those supplements, the combination of those supplements. So I have studied for a very long time, a major portion of my life, and continue to do so, right? Because, you know, the minute you label yourself as an expert, it's when you stop learning. Or, you know, another way of phrasing this is, you know, the more you think you know, is the more you realize how much you don't know, right? So, so yeah. So with, you know, with that, the purpose of this, this video was basically, you know, in keeping with my roots and in honor of Mom. This is from Vital Vegan. I'm gonna bring this in so you can have a look. So this is from Vital Vegan, and it is sea moss, right? So in the UK, it was called Irish moss, right? And I think the story behind that was that, you know, with the potato famine of Ireland, a lot of people were able to survive. They didn't succumb to that, not having food, but they were able to get their nutrients through sea moss, right? So I'll show it to you. And so this company, Vital Vegan Inc., again, you know, I'm not getting anything from them. They don't pay me to say this, but when something is true, it needs to be said, right? And so I believe in, you know, foods being grown where they would normally be grown, whatever part of the earth in terms of climate and humidity and all of those things that support plant vegetation, right? The growth of plants, trees, fruit, things like of that nature. So the energy in that place where it grows, or where it grew originally, right? If you can experience that food, that fruit, that herb from where it innately grows, I believe, right, and this is my belief, that the energy in that item is going to be way more, much more robust than if you know, it was grown somewhere in an artificial climate mimicking where it would naturally grow. The energy is going to be different. So this sea moss is, you know, because sea moss is now quote unquote, you know, air quotes, popular thing now, you know, people are growing it artificially, right, in salt bogs, etc. Again, the energy is different, right? So this basically is harvested in Jamaica, right? From the seas of Jamaica. Can't remember what the exact sea was, but yeah, it's from the West Indies, the sea. So grown in its natural place of origin. So that's why I like this brand, right? So that's why I'm promoting it, or talking about it, because it's what I use, right? So if I'm happy with something, if something works for me, then that's the whole point of doing this, right? Is that I can share it. So anyway, in my sink I have a bowl. So people tend to buy sea moss gel, which is very pricey, but you could see, and I'm gonna speed things up a little bit now, this is a pretty big pouch, right? So instead of buying the gel, right, I can get maybe possibly three, maybe four jars of, not large, but I would say about 4 to 6 ounces of sea moss, right? And it depends how long I hydrate it for, but I'm only gonna hydrate it for 2 nights, so 2 soaks overnight in the fridge, covered, right? So I just cut it open, and now I'm gonna open it. Okay, so here it's open, and you can see that the moss is very dry, right? It's almost like a loofah sponge, right? So it's dry, the moisture is out of it. So I'm going to take so I'm not gonna make too much, but I'm gonna take maybe about 1/3 of the bag. I don't want to take it all out because I want to be able to get it back in there. But it's about 1/3 of the bag. You can see like this much is still in the bag, right, of the moss. And so I don't want to make too much moss. And the reason why I don't want to make too much moss is that I want my moss to be used, you know, in a certain time frame. And that's, you know, if I haven't used my moss gel in like 7 days, I'm gonna toss it and start again. So here's my moss in the bottom of my bowl, right? And now I'm gonna cover that with water. So I'm going to be using water from my big Berkey. You can't really see it, but you know, she's here. And so I'm just gonna put some filtered water in here, and I'm gonna cover the moss with the filtered water. Right. So what I like to do is, which I didn't prepare, is I would take a lime, and I will squeeze this. So you can see here it's covered, right? So the moss is completely covered by the layer of water, right? And this is my filtered water from my big Berkey. That's my faucet. As you can see, my filter, my big Berkey filter, is over here on this side. I don't know if I can turn this a little bit so you can see. Right, so there's, next to my money plant is my girl, the big Berkey filter. So I'm gonna turn this back. Perfect. And so here's my bowl. So now, like I said, you could get a lime, right? And just, you know, roll it. What I always do is roll it on my counter till it gets nice and soft and juicy. And then I juice that lime. And then I also, because I use organic limes, I will squeeze all the juice out, and then I will just leave the pieces of the actual fruit, the lime, in the water, cover it, and then we put it in the fridge, right? That's the first night. And then I will show you what things are gonna look like after the first night. And then we'll soak it a second time, but I am gonna hop on quickly to show you what it looks like after the first night soak. Then we'll set up for the second night soak. And then we'll come back here and I'll show you how I just put this really hydrated moss now into the processor. I'm gonna put it in the NutriBullet and process it into a gel, and there you have your gel. I think I'm gonna juice some a small piece of ginger root and blend that into my gel as well. So I'll have like a ginger flavor to my sea moss gel once I make it. But the whole process of soaking those 2 nights, one is so we can rehydrate and open up the moss, and then rinse out the debris that it's released, whether, you know, particles of sand, whatever, and just, it's a way of cleaning it. And that's what the lemon juice is for as well, as helps to clean it up. And then the second soak is more to to help to continue the rehydration process of the moss, so that when you blend it, it requires very little liquid, if any, right? And then you can blend it into a gel. When I was growing up, and I need to add this, my mom would make, it was a drink, and the drink, you would add certain things to it, but the base was sea moss, which they called Irish moss, and then they would add to that linseed, right? So linseed was what I grew up knowing it as in the United Kingdom, but it's actually flax seeds. So they would boil the Irish moss with the flax seeds together, and then they would strain it, and it would be this really thick, kind of pectin consistency gel, right? And then they would add whatever it is that they wanted to add into it, and then spices and so forth, and then it was a drink. It was kind of like a tonic, right? But I didn't know that. I didn't know the benefits of those properties. Of course, they would put, condensed milk and things like that, which is not the best, but it was delicious. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, the goal is to be able to generate that, but in a much healthier way, right? So just the gel alone, without even adding anything to it, taking a couple of tablespoons of that. That's what I do. I'm not your doctor, so you want to kind of consult your doctor before you make any dietary changes or additions. But what I do is I take 2 tablespoons of the gel and I will blend it into either a smoothie. Sometimes I can mix it into a dressing if I want to, because it's pretty bland, so it'll take on the taste of whatever it is that you mix it with, especially citruses and ginger and so forth like that. So I can make it a thicker dressing and just add it to a dressing, or I can add some to chia pudding, which I like to make a lot. But yeah, this is amazing in terms of its nutrient value. Sea moss, and that's why we're going to go back and I tell you about the potato famine of Ireland, that a lot of people, even though they didn't have potatoes, which was the main staple of the people post-war, I believe it was. I'm not the history buff here, but a lot of people were able to survive on just the sea moss, right? Being able to harvest that and use that for food, because of its high nutrient content. So yeah, that's it. I wound up here saying more than I intended to, but I'm glad I came on, and I'm gonna try to do more of these for purposes of education, right? So our mission statement at Adonai Optimal Health and Wellness, which is an integrative cancer clinic, or we specialize in oncology and chronic disease. We're not a cancer clinic, because what we help to do is support the natural healing properties of people, right? So that the body can heal itself, because it knows how to do that, right? But yeah, I will be here sharing, a lot of information that can help to improve your health, to optimize your health, and definitely, you know, can help with health recovery as well. All right, so stay tuned. My name is Dr. Yvette Witten. I'm the founder and one of the practitioners at Adonai Optimal Health and Wellness, located in Monroe, Connecticut. And it is my pleasure to share this information with you because our goal, or my goal basically, is to empower the community through education and environmental awareness. So stay tuned, guys, and I will try to release more videos. Definitely there will be a follow-up to this this moss gel tutorial, if you will. Okay, be well, blessings in abundance. Take care until next time.